The following video was recorded on location in my state-of-the-art office in the corner of my first floor apartment. If you like what you're about to hear, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell in the upper right corner.
Hey, is this Josh?
Yes, it is.
Hey, what's up? This is Spencer from Starkill.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for taking time to do this interview.
Yeah, of course, no problem.
Well, awesome. Well, of course, we're here to talk about all things Starkill, amazing touring that's going to be coming up, in promotion of your album from last year, Shadow Sleep, which is an amazing album.
Thank you much.
Yeah, not a problem. And again, thank you for taking time to do this.
Anytime, man.
Well, awesome. Well, now that you guys have been able to tour somewhat now for Shadow Sleep, how has the reception been for the album so far?
There are a lot of people who still are clinging to the power metal aspect of Fires of Life, but as a whole, it's been our best received album to date. We've had, the most plays, and the most people memorizing lyrics and being super excited to come out to shows. This was obviously our first time headlining as well, and that response in and of itself was a great reflection of how the album's being received. I think the concept behind Shadow Sleep was to use the techniques that we have in our arsenal, but present them in a way that also consists of huge, memorable choruses that are going to get, stuck in your head. So I think so far we've been doing exactly what we've meant to do. We still have blistering guitar solos, we still have shredding double bass, but now we have these choruses that are going to stick with you.
Yeah, and that's one thing I really do admire from you guys. I mean, with the previous albums, I love all the different aspects that you were able to cover, but with Shadow Sleep, it feels like everything feels more cohesive and mature this time around. Showing the technical aspects in the right spots, but also hitting those great catchy hooks and choruses that really need to be shown off in today's music to really stand apart from everything else that's going on.
Yeah, we definitely agree. We had toured with, obviously, we started touring with Winter Sun, and then we did Amorphous, Teresis, we did Epica, and I think putting all those ingredients together, we were able to really fine-tune our recipe and nail down exactly what we wanted to go for. And it's continuing on in our current writing and for our forthcoming album. It's knowing when to show off and go crazy, but also knowing when the music needs to speak for itself.
Yeah, and I was there when you guys were touring with Winter Sun and Flesh God Apocalypse in Wisconsin, and then last year I was able to see you guys with Neovlascaris and Black Crown Initiates, and it's amazing to see in that amount of time how much you guys have progressed as far as your stage show, the songwriting, being so tight together on stage. You guys have come a long way since then.
We have definitely, poured our heart and souls into this stuff. Just from a technical aspect, we're talking about we went out with Winter Sun, we were running XYZ kind of rig, using these amps, using these drums, and then we said Flesh God's doing this, that's super cool, maybe we can kind of implement that into our performance, our show, take that home with us and see what we can do with it. And just years of touring have streamlined us, and we all are involved in different aspects of the industry as well. We have members that tour and tech for other bands, so we're able to pick up, tips and tricks out there. My brother and I have a studio in our basement that we've built that we're actually going to be opening for business later. But between all the studio and tour experience we have both with Starkill and outside of the band, we're really able to pull together, all the best tips and tricks from this industry that we can.
So when was it? Was there a particular time or event that happened where you realized that this was the direction that you wanted Starkill to go in?
For me personally, I think it started happening on the Amorphous tour, which was pretty young. But when we were on the Winter Sun tour, we were still super young. I was 18 on that tour. And obviously we were excited, losing our minds over being on the road with all these awesome bands. And then I had never heard of Amorphous, and I was the most skeptical member of the band about, doing our first European tour with this band that I've never listened to. And then I get there, and I'm seeing their live show for the first time, obviously, and it was incredible. I'd never seen such a tight group between all members of the crew and the band on stage. Like, just the relationship between, the lights and the musician on stage. That was the first time I'd ever seen that level of cohesion in a band. And on top of that, they had such an amazing, dedicated fan base at every single show. And they were successfully fusing, clean vocals with some orchestral elements with, the death metal vocals, and still having solo work and heavy drums going on. So that was my first real exposure to kind of, fusing the line between straight death metal and the clean vocal side of things. And then Epica was, a year, 2 years or whatever later, and that was another example of, putting forth fast double bass, awesome 80s style shredding guitar solos, and then having these big epic choruses. And we're like, we know we have all the tools to do this, and now we're just going to do it with our Starkill flair.
And with that, how long did it take until it felt comfortable writing in that style?
We had kind of had some of the ideas for the tracks on Shadow Sleep, but floating around in the Virus of the Mind era, like thinking back to Virus of the Mind, we do have some clean choruses on there, Before Hope Fades, probably most notably, and then Virus of the Mind, and those are a bit more melancholic of choruses. They're not as, I don't know what the word is, maybe glorious as things in Shadow Sleep with, all the harmonies and whatnot. But I think it was touring through the Virus of the Mind cycle that got us to be super comfortable and realize that we could push it further.
And with that, with Shadow Sleep coming out last year, and you guys finally being able to go out with a first headlining run coming up, which is incredible to see that you guys are able to pull that off. How are you guys looking forward to songwriting coming up for the next album cycle?
Oh, we are unbelievably pumped. Hence, we're opening this tour with a brand new track off the album. Now that we have Sarah Lynn in the band, and we can pull off these operatic, almost Nightwish-y style things, but then she still has a more Simone Epica style voice for verses that we can use. We basically have every tool in our arsenal ready to go. The songs we say this every album, but it's like we can't be more excited to release the next album than the last one. Obviously, we love Shadow Sleep, and we love Virus of the Mind, and we love Fires of Life, but as a band, we mature, and we get smarter with our writing as a whole. I think the next album pushes Shadow Sleep to a more bombastic, cinematic, and probably even more shreddy territory than Shadow Sleep. We're talking like faster blast beats than we've ever had on any track ever before. More double bass, super, super awesome cinematic, crazy like tom grooves and all this stuff, but it still has the same cohesive glue that we kind of debuted with Shadow Sleep. So I lost track of the fucking question, but like super pumped for the next album.
Yeah, and that makes me excited too, because there's so many bands out there who feel just obligated to write new music as an excuse to go on tour, but with you guys, it sounds like you're legitimately happy to be able to find your niche, the style that you want to write in, and be able to progress in that style. And the way that you were describing it for the next album has me very excited for what's coming up next.
Yeah, when we find in this case, like Sarah Lynn, so we have some songs, or some ideas for songs, some fragments, sitting in a bank of things that never got finished, and suddenly we can pull out this new instrument and actually let these songs see the light of day in the form that we were never quite sure what it needed, and now we're fully aware of that we can complete them in the form that we didn't even intend to in the first place, but now we have this extra ingredient and everything. It's really opened up the whole writing process for us.
And how does that feel for you guys, being starting off with a brand new song for the tour? And not playing like a popular song from the past, but like a brand new song like that.
Well, for us, obviously we've played, our discography a million times over on tours all the time. So it's always great to bring new songs to the forefront, just from a technical level. Like, ooh, we get to play new stuff. It's not Fires of Life for the 10,000th time. Not that we wouldn't be excited to play that, but in the same sense, it's being able to share our excitement with the fans. It's like this is the beta test of Starkill Album 4. And on top of that, we get to kind of do something that we're jealous of that, like Nightwish gets to do. Like, okay, Nightwish is going to write a new album. They're going to go rent a studio cabin and spend a month jamming the songs over before they even record them. So, obviously, the fourth album is not out, but we get to take this opening song in particular on the road. And even though it is complete, if I feel that there's a much better necessary fill that I've been having the urge to do live, I have the freedom now to add it to the song and really perfect it.
And with that, I mean, I'm guessing just one song from the fourth album is going to be a part of the tour. Is that a good representation of what to expect from the next album, or is it going to be even more diverse than that?
I think it's definitely going to be a good representation of the album. It has the cinematic orchestral vibe, the big choruses, but also the shredding and it has all the elements that are going to be the defining features of this album. That being said, there is still room for diversity within the theme that we've set. So by no means is every track going to sound like this one. There's definitely, like every song that we're going to be releasing on this album, we are so pumped for because it's basically a single in itself. We ideally would love to be filming a music video for each of these songs because we think that they can each individually be thematically represented.
So, even more with that, with the track that you will be premiering on this tour, was that one of the first tracks that you had in mind for the new album, or is that just like the best representation of what you want to show off before album 4 comes out?
Honestly, we kind of tossed and turns because we all have different tracks that we're more or less excited for to be playing. Of course, the song that Spencer wrote that crazy drum intro to is the one that he wants to take on the road, but, Parker's song that he just wrote the craziest guitar solo ever for is the one he wants to take out or whatever. With all the future content, we could have taken a lot of songs on the road, but we felt that this one would be the most exciting as an opener. It was kind of written with that in mind to get everyone really excited right from the get-go. Yeah,
and that's really a great way to do it, too. I mean, there's a lot of people there who might be expecting, one of the classic Starkill songs to start off with, or Burn Your World or something. It's just something like that. But to be able to, blow people away with, brand new material like that, I mean, that's a really cool way to go about it.
Yeah, we want to draw them in and tell them, hey, stick around, because we have plenty more to come.
And in speaking of that, how did you guys go about filling out the rest of the set for this tour, now considering that you guys get to do a headlining set?
Well, okay, so we are talking about one of the longest set lists we've ever played. I don't think we've done full hours outside. Well, I mean, we did our China headliner, so that was pretty nuts. But we have a long headliner, and we have a new album that we're still supporting. So there's a good amount of Shadow Sleep on there. We're playing almost the entire album. And then we still have the necessary fan favorites from previous albums. And then, of course, we have our new opener. But obviously, we are still in the Shadow Sleep cycle and still have plenty of cities to hit with it. And we haven't even played all the songs off it on previous tours. So there are plenty of songs that we've never played live before, with an emphasis on the Shadow Sleep concept.
Oh, that's so very cool. I do wish this was coming over to my neck of the woods in Minnesota, but it's great to see that you guys are able to do nearly a full month of North American headlining that's going on here. I mean, it's awesome to see that you guys have progressed that far. Yeah, we had planned on doing, more cities than we have currently announced for. But we are currently booking a second leg, hitting a bunch of the cities that we know we want to hit, but just with booking and routing and stuff, it kind of just didn't happen on this first chunk. So there will be more dates, probably before the end of the summer, but obviously that stuff is still in the works. Oh, very cool. So with this change in the band, being able to add her with vocals, the change of style in the music, how much has your drum setup changed in that time? So, okay. So let's flash back to Winter Sun, Flesh God Apocalypse. I am hilariously embarrassed of what I was running at the time. We had our minds in the right place, but I was running a 7-piece
Pearl Masters kit with a full rack, and every single drum was triggered through an Alesis DM10, and we had all the drums stuffed so that there wasn't any, like, you know, double triggering or anything that could occur. So we had this crazy, weird mishmash setup. Of course, triggers sound great because that's all they're supposed to do, but then I get up there next to Francesco from Flesh God and Kai from Winter Sun, and it's like, wow, like, they're putting this to shame with their acoustic sets. Like, this is a world I need to immerse myself into more. You know, let's have the best sounding, like, album quality drums. Let's just cut right to triggers and use that. So then having that massive of a drum kit and having to set it up and tear it down, and then having, like, the maintenance with it and possible electronic, you know, mishaps happening, I was like, okay, we need to change something. Something's gotta go. So immediately after the Winter Sun tour, we were with Amorphous, and I rented a Pearl reference kit over there, which was a standard 5-piece, because renting anything bigger than a 5-piece was overseas would have been pretty crazy out of budget. And then we went overseas again with Teresis, and we shared a kit with them. So I had a lot of exposure to setups that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with at first. And then when we came back from those tours, I was like, that's the smart way to do it. If you're a quality drummer, you should be able to shred on a kit no matter the size. So the mentality that I took for writing all of Shadow Sleep was 5-piece. It should just be a basic 5-piece. I should be able to sit down on any kit at any venue at a standard size and be able to play Shadow Sleep in its entirety with no issues. So that's why I ended up going with the Spawn, which is just a 10, 12, 16 on my snare and kick, 2 crashes, a China, and a splash with, of course, hats and rides. So it's like it's a very simple setup that is universal. But as far as writing goes, with Shadow Sleep, we introduced these big clean choruses. Therefore, we had big open drums. Now that we feel super comfortable with that, with our forthcoming album, it's just as fluid in its writing, but it is more bombastic and crazy when it's necessary. So, in essence, we're talking a universal 5-piece kit, but still going as crazy as we can, keeping it necessary to the music.
Yeah, and that's such a great way to do it, too. I mean, when you can have that basic setup and, you know, just have the necessary cymbals and necessary drums. I mean, not every kit is going to be able to have, like, that full-on double bass kit and every cymbal imaginable. I mean, you got to be able to adapt the way that you have. And, you know, like, being able to share the stage with Amorphous and Teresis and, you know, like, seeing bands and touring with bands like Winter Sun and Flesh God and just getting those ideas of getting that nice acoustic sound and having more of, like, a minimal setup to be able to go crazy on, which makes it even more impressive, everything you can do on a more minimal kit. I mean, it really opens up things, let alone the mention until you get your own roadies. It's really hard to be able to set up a gigantic kit with electronics like that.
Exactly. Actually, I think beyond that, in addition to the Amorphous and Teresis things helping me get exposed to their kits, now that I think of it, the China headliner was also even more so important, because that was one where we had, like, a contract with each venue on the tour, because we obviously weren't going to ship a kit all the way to China. And because we were training or flying to each of these venues, we weren't going to haul a kit around. So each venue was, you know, contracted to provide me with a kit of at least XYZ specs. And boy, those specs were almost never fulfilled that entire tour. So, oh my God, like, there were nights where we'd be playing a gorgeous venue and I'd have a gorgeous, like, DW collector's kit. That was exactly what I wanted. And then there would be nights where, I kid you not, my drum throne was a broken bass amp. My crash cymbal stand was, like, a broken hi-hat stand. Like, I was forced to play in some pretty hilarious and outrageous conditions. And that's when I was like, you know what, I need to put the foot down. Like, we're just going to go universal 5-piece.
Yeah, and it really does take those experiences with house kits to be able to, like, really show off what you need and what you don't need. I mean, if you're only going to use, like, a cymbal, for example, for, like, 1 or 2 hits the entire show, you don't really need that cymbal, and that can go with the entire drum kit as well. You know, it's just, like, making sure that you have, like, the necessary pieces you need to be able to play the best that you can.
Right, and, like, from a writing perspective, you can sit down and pull up, you know, Superior Drummer and write in your MIDI drums, and and just test for yourself. Like, okay, I have this tom group that I wrote on my giant 10-piece drum set, and it goes like this. Okay, now I'm just going to slim it down and move this one tom hit that I have over to like the standard 12-inch and see how it sounds. Oh, it still reads exactly the same for the song. Okay, then, maybe I don't need that. Maybe I can strip that from my setup.
Going a little bit back into the songwriting, like you were mentioning before, you're having some of your fastest double bass and blast beats coming up on the upcoming album. How do you go about practicing and being able to hit those speeds?
So when when Starkill was like first being introduced to the public, we did our tour with Cresian and Arsis, and we did our Winter Sun Run being our earliest ones. My practice regiment was really athletic, and I stuck to it by a T, and it was like every day for my first hour of practicing or whatever, I would do 5 minutes or 1 minute on my right foot at 16th notes at 200 BPM, and then my left foot. And then I'd raise it to 210, right foot, left foot, 220, right foot, all the way up to 250. And then I would do 1 minute suicides with both feet going. And then I would do it with my hands. And then I would do it with my hands and my feet. So it was just this simple system of increasing the tempo and running suicides with 1 limb, 2 limbs, or 4 limbs. And I have a drummometer, and I used to kill myself over trying to get, the highest hits per minute I could. And it was that basically just drove like my forearms and my shins into like the weirdest, lean machine muscle memory constructs. And it's at the point where like when we tour China or Europe, you don't necessarily have the luxury of being able to practice every day and run that kind of stuff. And it's nice to at least be able to sit down and have that much, that many suicides under your belt to sit down and play Be Dead or Die or Whispers of Heresy and have no issue getting your feet up to speed kind of thing. So as of late, playing shows and rehearsals have been more than enough to keep me in check to be able to play at those speeds. I think it kind of paid off to do all that crazy athleticism work in the beginning. But yeah, it was a lot of not fun running suicides on all limbs.
Yeah, I can imagine so, but it's definitely paid off in the long run, though. I mean, like being able to hit the speeds that you want to hit and being able to play any BPM that you feel is necessary for the material. I mean, once you have all of those elements available to you, then you know to pick and choose what you want to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, if I ever felt like I was not able to play the speeds that are necessary for a song, like you bet your ass I would be running my goddamn suicides all the time until I felt 100% confident, comfortable that I could bust that out live, no problem. But yeah, it's nice to be able to write and know with confidence that you're capable of playing what you're writing or what's in your head and be able to translate it from your brain to your kit without any hassle.
Absolutely. Going back a little bit into the different touring that you guys have been able to do, whether it's in North America or Europe or headlining in China, how is the American crowds different from the rest of the world for you guys?
So obviously we haven't even toured Europe since the Fires of Life cycle, which is crazy for us to think about. Some of our biggest hits have yet to be shared live with half of our audience. As a whole, though, so when you're in Europe, I mean, their entire view of the music industry is a little bit different. Like when we were with Amorphous and Teresis, we were treated super well. You go to the venue and most of them have showers and you get catering and it's great. Your sound engineers are always competent and looking out for you. And then when you come to the U.S., it can be, you got to get down and dirty. I mean, most venues in the States, unless you're talking about massive theaters, don't have showers. And your catering is usually just they give everyone in the band a $10 bill or a $20 bill and just say go find stuff. So, I mean, that's more of the venue side of things. But with the crowds, again, we need to get back to Europe to give you a more accurate answer. But, I mean, they both love the music. Obviously, we're playing the same music for both people, so the appreciation is there regardless. But Americans like to move. There's a lot more moshing that goes on in America, and there's a lot more chanting and unified cheering that goes on in Europe. I don't know, that's just in my experience, but yeah, America seems to be a little bit more moshy than everywhere else.
And it's good to be able to have like both sides of that as well. I mean, obviously, when you guys do get the opportunity to go back to Europe and really be able to show off what you guys are doing now, I mean, of course you'll have a better experience with that. But being able to have like those European crowds, North American crowds, like being able to see both sides of it, whether they're just like moshing and really enjoying what you guys are doing, or being able to chant along with all the lyrics like over in Europe. I mean, it's cool to see both sides like that.
Yeah, and to further that, like, Starkill pulls most of its influence from European and Scandinavian bands. So we kind of are the European-American band. So if anything, like, sometimes we also get weird reception from fans who are like, holy crap, like, I didn't know that this side of the world had its own, you know, symphonic, melodic, every subgenre metal band.
Yeah, and it's really cool that you are able to show that. I mean, that's what drew me into the band, is like I did hear a lot of European influence from you guys, like of course with the American styles as well, but like showing off those really melodic moments, and you guys have just like crafted that so very well all the way through Shadow Sleep and everything that you've been talking about as far as the upcoming album. I mean, when that gets recorded and I'm able to check that out, I already have that feeling that I'm really going to love what you guys are doing, and it feels like you guys are just absolutely on the top of your game right now.
I think it also goes along with just the band having the same core, you know, members for so long. We've been writing with, you know, myself, Parker, Sean, Tony, and now Sarah Lynn. But as far as, you know, me, Parker, Sean, and Tony goes, we've only just been getting more and more cohesive and in tune with each other's writing style and figuring out, like, there'll be times where Parker writes a riff or he writes a chorus, and he's like, okay, now I know it needs to go into this part, and I know that Sean's able to write the exact riff I need, or like I know that Tony is going to write this bridge that goes right here because I know he's great at crafting the feel that I know we need right here.
Yeah, and that's what it's about. I mean, like being able to find the right group of people, being able to play on your strengths, being able to strengthen up your weaknesses, and being able to write like the best cohesive and overall just songs that you want to play and be able to share with the rest of the world.
Yeah, when you know who, when, and how to turn to everyone in your band, it's really efficient, and it's really exciting to see like how fast you can come up with a piece of music that you have envisioned from the beginning.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Spencer, thank you so very much for taking the time to talk to me with all things going on with Starkill, being able to help promote the first North American headlining run for Starkill, which actually starts a week from today over in Providence, and being able to play all the way through the 23rd July. I mean, again, you know, it's like, it's so cool to see that you guys have gone from being able to open up for such great bands to being able to go out on your own and be able to bring in Starkill fans in a headlining set in North America, being able to get to the next album, which I'm definitely looking forward to, even more so with the way that you've been describing it, and all of the great things that have been going on with you guys. It's so cool to see that.
Thank you so much, man. We are equally excited just to get on the road and play this with everyone, and of course, to get back and keep cranking out the next album.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we wrap things up here, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I haven't brought up yet?
Well, of course, I mean, the main thing would be we're always booking. We're always ready to play. Like, there will be more dates. We obviously want to bring our music to as far a reach as possible, but all I can do is reiterate, like, we are super stoked for the next album. We have a lot of things, a lot of inner workings going on. So I would just stay tuned to all things Starkill.